So let me ask you a deep question. Who could you be if you let yourself unleash your full potential this year? If you finally caught a vision for that thing that you've been putting off for so long, whether it's advancing your career, maybe breaking out of the job that isn't serving you anymore, or maybe it's even going back to school to rebrand your career focus. It could be any of those things. Whatever it is, you're on this video because your intuition is calling you to make a change. You wouldn't have clicked on it otherwise. It's not by accident. So listen to that calling. Imagine how great you're going to feel when you've gotten there. When you look back and wonder how you were possibly content and comfortable staying stuck where you were, taking a nap on the couch, procrastinating the thing you knew you needed to do. Imagine, more importantly, all the people that benefit from you showing up as your full self because you feel more open and more excited and you're sharing this new gift, this new part of you with the world. That's powerful. So let's talk about how you get there, and not later. We're gonna talk about how you get there this year. So we're gonna stop sabotaging our potential. Let's get into it.
Put your hands up.
Okay, I get it. We're excited. I'm excited from sharing with you that intro. But sometimes we get the excitement, but then we get into the actual day-to-day and action steps, and we start to just chip away at what we want to do. And then in turn, we're in full-blown sabotage, and we wonder how we got there. So I want to talk about this topic in this video in 3 parts: envisioning your potential, overcoming sabotage, and actually how to take action on it. So let's go ahead and jump in. So first, let me tell you quickly my history with sabotage. So I identify as what I call a multi-passionate creator or creative. So I've worked in the creative space for my entire career, 25 years. And in that process, I've learned something about myself, that I have so many ideas, more than I could possibly even execute in a given day, a given month, or probably even in a lifetime. And I talk about this a lot on this channel, so it's not going to be limited to this video, but I think you're probably like me if you found your way to this video. So we have a lot of things going through our mind and a lot of opportunities for ideas to really tap into. And sometimes it can be so overwhelming that I literally have to unplug and take a 20-minute nap on the couch. Now it's interesting because sometimes the nap goes from a place of rejuvenation to hour number 2, where it turns into procrastination or sabotage. And so I'm very aware of my behavior and when I know when I'm towing into this space of procrastination and ultimately sabotage. But the point is, the ideas are so overwhelming, and many of the ideas are really good. These could turn into really cool businesses, really cool pieces of content, but there are too many of the ideas. And so I bring this up to say, I think this is one of the things that starts triggering our self-sabotage, because there are so many things being thrown at us, especially being creators, that we have to find a way to filter out what we really need to think about, because we simply can't entertain all of those things, because that would lead to a place of complete burnout and ultimately sabotaging our whole success. And I think we know that. And so one thing I want to point out, it's those ideas that keep coming back. Those are the ones that I believe we really need to entertain and pay attention to when we're talking about sabotage, or specifically not sabotaging them. And those are the ones that come back every few months, every year, or maybe even more frequent than that. This YouTube channel is one of those ideas for me. I've been thinking about making this channel for the better part of 8 years, if not 10 years, yet it never happened. Why not? I would always procrastinate or find an excuse or a reason why it couldn't happen. Either I didn't have time, the job I was in, it didn't make sense. I was overwhelmed by the video topics themselves, and I would just completely sabotage it based on overwhelm. There were endless number of reasons as to why this channel did not happen. But the important thing is we need to listen to those things that keep coming back, because those are the ones that are calling to us that I believe need to be entertained. Because the reality is, if we keep waiting too long, the ideas are going to completely disappear. There's an author, Elizabeth Gilbert, which you may know, obviously very well known for Eat, Pray, Love, which was turned into a movie. But she has a book that came out after that called Big Magic. And Big Magic is really interesting because she talks about this topic in there. And I'm not going to quote her. I'm just going to give you a quick paraphrase, but I very much encourage you to read this book if you're interested in just experiencing what could be possible for you. She talks about ideas coming to her. And when she didn't entertain them, when she came back to them, they had lost their soul. They'd lost their purpose. And she even tells an interesting story about how one idea for a book came to her and she was busy and didn't entertain it. And then she meets with another author friend of hers, and the person did not know about the book. And the book idea was given supposedly by the universe in Elizabeth Gilbert's story to the other author. She had never shared this specific story with anyone. So she's making this argument that I actually believe in, which is that ideas and creativity and inspiration come from this other place. And I don't want to get too much into spirituality or anything like that in this video, because you don't necessarily have to agree with this point of view to understand that these ideas sometimes just come to us, right? They're there and we don't really know where they came from. And those ones that keep coming back, those are the ones we need to entertain, because when they keep coming back, they come back with more pressure, with more urgency and more intensity. And I believe if we continue to say no to those ideas, they're ultimately going to leave us. So imagine yourself today. Let yourself close your eyes if needed and visualize what it will look like when you have achieved or even started the thing that you have been sabotaging or putting off. It could be anything today. It could be a career aspiration. Maybe you even want to look better, eat better, exercise more, whatever it is. You know what that is. I want you to imagine how great you're going to feel when you have achieved it. What does that look like? Talk to yourself about that. I do this in the morning, actually, as part of my morning ritual, where I say affirmation statements that are sort of mixed up with what the law of attraction community calls imagination, or living in the future state, where I'm literally saying what is true when that has been achieved. And I would encourage you to remove things like "it's going to be" or future terms like that, and in turn say "it is." Because the reality is time is kind of an illusion, right? It could be in the next breath. And we want to believe that. And so when you start to say, I am successful, I am in shape, I am a guitar player, I'm an amazing pianist, then you are telling yourself that you are that. The subconscious brain starts to pick up on that. And believe me, I have seen this in my own life in the past 2 years. When I have made an intention and started believing in that, the sabotage starts to go away. And the most important thing here is seeing what that will look like, imagining what that will feel like, so that you start to create belief in yourself. Now, I have another video on limiting beliefs that I will link here that has some strategies that you can use here that has really helped me over the past couple of years completely redefine my career. Just completely redefine it. So I'm going to share that video here. But for purposes of this video, I want you to see the vision for who you can be, because I think when we start believing in ourselves and seeing how that's going to help people and how we're going to feel when we show up in the world in that 2.0 version of ourselves, whatever that is, everything is going to be shifted. And that is the most exciting thing. So I think we need to have that in our minds so you can visualize that. I'm going to give you an action step here in part 3 where you can actually internalize this and make it more regular. But for now, I wanted you to understand the visualization part. Now for part 2, overcoming sabotage. So I want to talk about this in detail, and I'm going to bring you some truth, because I know in my experience that I have done this before, where I have blamed the current situation for reasons to sabotage myself. Either I don't have access to what I need to make it possible, or in the career transitions that I made in the past year, I would make excuses on why it wouldn't work. I would reference finances or money scarcity, or I would reference some blocker or something that existed in my external world that blocked me from taking action. I actually posted on LinkedIn late last year a really interesting post that I'm going to show here on the screen about this topic. And I have a really fun picture there to get attention where I have "I quit" in front of my mouth. You can see it here. And that really grabbed attention on this post, and it got a lot of comments and engagement from my community and people that I don't even really know that well around this topic. And of course, the photo is in jest to say that I'm quitting on my idea too soon. And this really resonated with people. In fact, one of my colleagues who I've known for many years, I won't drop you by name, but if you're watching, you know who you are, reached out to me because of this post. We hadn't talked in forever. And we had met many years ago and had really great rapport and did business networking together. Said to me that this post spoke directly to him and really inspired him to take this seriously and make some changes and just really get himself going and stop sabotaging his own success. And that was really powerful because I almost didn't post the thing on LinkedIn. I almost sabotaged the post itself because I was worried what people would think of me. Is it too much? Is it too vulnerable? What if people judge me? And then I just posted it. And I'm so glad I did because it created such great conversation. And when you look at the comments there, I'll actually link the post here. When you look at the comments, people are having aha moments and sharing their belief where I lit a fire under them, or they started to realize that they need to actually do the thing. That is so powerful. That is the power that we have, not only to take action on ourselves of something that we've been procrastinating, but then also seeing what happens when we put that energy out to the universe. That's the thing. Great ideas in our head don't help anybody. They don't help anybody. And then they start to swim in our own mind. And like Elizabeth Gilbert's book, they get given to somebody else if we're not careful. So we really need to let the ideas come through our mind, and we need to start pushing them out more and really letting ourselves share the evolution and the journey with other people of us achieving our potential. So that's a high level view here, but on the post, people were really excited about that. And what I wanted to call out about the post is one thing here that I listed a couple reasons why sabotage happens. And so I want to talk about those here because people voted in the post on what is most commonly their trigger for sabotage. And you'll see there's things like fear of success, fear of failure, fear of not being able to sustain the success, fear of public opinion. So you'll notice a common word here underneath all of those options that I gave in the post. Fear. Fear. So we could break these down a little bit and look at them in sections, but ultimately fear is underneath all of them. So fear of the unknown, fear of what it's going to look like to walk into that dark cave that's just in front of us. We can see it, and we know that when we walk through, there could be a beautiful beach on the other side. There could be an enchanted forest. There could be any number of beautiful things there, but we're so afraid that ugly and scary things are on the other side that we're scared to go through it. And we're really scared of that darkness and that unknown. And so in many ways, we love staying where we are because staying where we are feels like some sense of security, right? It feels like we are able to not really take a risk and we could just spend time thinking about the idea. And that satisfies us for a while. But what happens when that starts to really mess with us? And like the idea of this YouTube channel, I was full of disdain towards myself. I started to have a negative view of myself because I knew that putting out this content was going to help other people. And it is, and it will, and it has, and all of those things. Great ideas in our head don't help anybody. So we have to get over that fear of the unknown. And the fear of the unknown is really the undercurrent for all those things. But when you look at some of the fears that live on top of that, right? So the fear of success or fear of failure, well, that's also unknown. This fear that we may not actually succeed. Well, what does succeed actually mean? We want people to love it, like it, be excited about it. We may fail. We may not get the body we wanted. If that's your goal, we may not, the new business we created may not pop off like we wanted. Okay, well, there are other things within that process that are just as valuable. So yes, I want a business to be financially successful. I want people to really get value from it. But what about all the things along the way that get us there? We can't forget those things. And that is also success. So overcoming our own limiting beliefs, waking up every day and pushing sabotage to the side and saying, no, we're going to give ourselves permission to unleash our full potential. Those small achievements add up to really big ones. And then by the time we show up in that successful state in the traditional sense, we are a new person. So do not miss the transformation that's part of this process. So it's fear of success, fear of failure, fear of sustaining success. That's another big one. And I struggle with this one big time. So this channel is a great example. Okay, I can post these videos, and then what happens if viewership dips? What happens if people don't like the next one? What happens if I get overwhelmed and can't keep the video cadence going on? So you see what happens. We end up staying safe. So I stayed safe for 8+ years, not making videos for the fear that I wouldn't be able to sustain making the videos. When we start taking the action steps, that starts to dissipate, and that fear starts to not be as prevalent, because we start to realize that we are becoming the person that can sustain it. And we're becoming the person that actually understands that it's honestly not that important, because it's the journey just as much as the destination in this process. So just keep that in mind. Do not let that one hold you back, because once you start walking forward, you start the reps in the gym, you start practicing the piano or guitar, it starts to snowball, because the mini wins start to get us excited and pull us forward. And then finally, fear of public opinion. So this is fear of positive public opinion and negative public opinion. So this is a big one, because especially in content creation space, which is what I am doing here, and it's an intrinsic part of the business I run and just my life in general. And I know many people that want to share themselves on social media and in content more fear this. They fear ridicule. They fear silence, just the fact that no one's commenting. So therefore, in theory, no one likes it. And this can be crippling. And one of the things that I have discovered here is that it feels great to help other people. Like in this LinkedIn post that I shared with you, so many people here had real transformation at that moment based on that post. What if I had not posted it? Great ideas in our head don't help anyone. I made myself vulnerable. I put myself out there, and now me and the people that saw this and that commented on it have a shared experience together. We shifted the energy in our own lives and the lives of each other. That is powerful. Sit with that for a second. That is powerful. And that happens no matter what you're doing. Even if it feels like a personal transformation for you, like a fitness goal or getting yourself in shape or just eating better. Even though that doesn't directly impact someone else, it does. Because when you show up looking healthy, feeling better about yourself, giving them tips on how to do it, people want to be successful and be around other people that are successful. We want that. And people that want to unleash their full potential, like yourself, if you're on this channel, that's what I talk about. We want to be around people that are doing that. That is inspiring. Do not forget that for a moment. No matter how personal your goal is, it will inspire other people, because you are going to show up differently to the world. Trust me, you will. You will. You will. And I didn't realize this power for so long. I thought it was all in the numbers. It was all in the traditional sense of success, getting more clients or putting better posts out. Well, what about the me that has changed? A different Joey is showing up. I'm a different person than I was 2 years ago in so many ways. The world gets to experience that now. I'm evolved. I'm calmer. I'm more purposeful. I operate with intention. And that came across in this post. That's what I want for you. So fear of public opinion. If you don't put the idea out, you can't get either. And we want to help people, and more people than not are going to like it. And you know what? We have to be open to some people not liking it to get to those people that do. So I'm sitting here saying, well, I don't want to hold myself back from helping other people and having those great experiences with people in the post that did get huge value. So I'm willing to put myself out there for those few haters that don't get it. And there was one hater on this post, but he understood what I meant when I actually wrote back to him and explained the message. So again, it's a great opportunity to bring people along in the journey. Part 3, a daily plan to annihilate sabotage. So in this part, I want to give you some action steps of things that are working in my life right now. And I know they're going to work for you. And it involves 2 parts. It involves our belief system, which again, I'm not going to go into great detail here because I have another video about that. And then it also involves us crafting out the negative stories we're telling ourselves and how we can reframe them. So number 1, a lot of people that come to me and tell me they're sabotaging their ideas, and even when I've sabotaged my own, sometimes it's in areas where we don't have deep experience in proving that we can achieve that, especially if it's something where you're going to a new level in your career, a new level of fitness, whatever it is. You're unleashing potential and elevating yourself. Well, we don't have an example of ourselves at that new level. We don't have an example of the 2.0 version of ourselves. So one of the things I do regarding limiting beliefs, which is kind of what this is, it's saying, well, I haven't done it before, or I haven't achieved this level of success, so can I do it? We need to look into our lives for things that are what I call micro proof points that help us prove that case. So for example, with this YouTube channel, it's something that I was procrastinating. And it wasn't that I had necessarily didn't believe I could do it, but my thought was, well, will people actually consume the content in the way that I want? Will I be able to create enough videos to actually support the cause? And so I had to look into my life for things that prove that I could. And so though I hadn't launched the YouTube channel yet, I was able to look for areas in my life of proof points. So a couple things that I found. I have worked in consulting for years, both in agencies where I worked for other people and in agencies that I run myself, like I'm doing right now. Well, in the consulting space, we work with multiple clients. I've worked with thousands of different clients throughout my long career. And so those each are different topics, different people, different themes. At times we're juggling multiple types of projects and also different pieces of subject matter. So I'm able to juggle between a lot of different ideas at once. That kind of sounds like a YouTube channel. So the idea of creating multiple video ideas and having them in different stages of completion, that's like consulting. So wow, I unlocked in my life, I have a whole level of proof of how I did it. And all I have to do now is reframe, oh yeah, well, I'm not doing another project for someone else. I'm just taking that same activity that I've proven I can do really well and translating that to the actions needed for the YouTube channel. Find those things for you in your life now. A fitness goal is a big one because I work out with a personal trainer. Shout out to Carlos if you're watching. And I've been doing that for years. And that was a decision to keep me on track. But every time we show up, I'm renegotiating with myself that I'm going to give that and push. And obviously we've seen great success and I have proof points to look back on throughout that time of where we've gotten to in these sessions. But in the beginning stages, I had not been working out for a long time. And I'd never worked out at that level and certainly never with a trainer. And I remember being on the floor, doing planks, doing activities in a way where I before would just quit. I now couldn't quit because I was accountable to someone else, but also I realized in my mind in those early stages when I was doing these activities that I had to trick myself to say, you can't quit. You need to visualize yourself completing this set. You can do it. And somehow, some way, I retrained my brain over actually a couple weeks, if not maybe a month or so, where I started to understand how to self-talk myself to not quit in the sets. Because when I would work out alone, I would completely quit because there was no one there. There was no accountability. And I was in this constant loop of self-sabotage with exercise. So look for beliefs in your life where you have overcome adversity, where you have said, no, I'm not going to say no to this. I'm actually going to get up and do it. So it's this idea of tricking ourselves to motivate ourselves. That's what I want you to do here because that is going to help us really start to get to the core of what's sabotaging and helping us see when we've succeeded and not sabotaged in another area. So that's part 1. Part 2 of this activity is looking at what we're afraid of. What are we afraid of? So I have a worksheet that I'm actually going to link to here that walks you through this. And I'm not going to go into it in great detail on this video, but what it does is it asks you to walk through what are the worst things that could happen. And I think this is really good for our mindset to understand that how ridiculous some of the things are when we write them down. What is possibly going to happen? How bad could it be? And then also the worksheet has you rate how likely that is to happen. And usually it's very low. So we start to realize that we have these catastrophic thoughts in our mind, and they really drive us. They drive our personal decision process because it's the story we're telling ourselves. And when we don't write them down and look at them for how silly and embellished they are, they start to overtake us. So that's what this worksheet does. It's going to help you write that down and really think about how excited you're going to be to take the risk, even still, that the possibility that might happen, it's very unlikely. So I have used that worksheet throughout many transitions in my life where I started to realize that, wow, the benefits and who I can become and the people I can help far outweigh these catastrophic stories I was telling myself. So these are two strategies that I use in my life to overcome sabotage. Never 100% successful. I don't think we're ever going to be. I think it's why I presented this in this section of learning how to work with ourselves. And I also want you to watch that limiting beliefs video, because that coupled with this one is really going to help you understand how I'm actually keeping myself on track, because I have enough things in place, guardrails and guidelines and different things to keep me on track. So if I start to dip off in one, it brings me back to the other. But the goal of this entire thing, the goal of my entire life, and really all the videos on this channel, is to help you believe in yourself and unleash your full potential, whatever that means for you. I want you to challenge your status quo, and I want you to always be getting better, but I want you to be enjoying the process. And I want you to do it with calmness and purpose and intention and showing up present, being present in the world as our full selves. What does that look like? What does that look like? So if you're getting value out of this video, please like it and drop a comment below on which of those fears resonate with you. I'm going to list them out in the comments below, what I had in the LinkedIn post. Which fear resonates with you, so you can put it in the public forum and say no to it. I want you to do that in the comments below, okay? And then, of course, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, because obviously I want you to see more videos like this, and I dropping them frequently, and I want you to get them first. So I thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad I started the channel. Let me know if you're glad too by liking. And go ahead and jump into this next video that I mentioned to you about limiting beliefs, so you can continue building on this one, because we are not sabotaging anymore. It ends here. I'll see you in the next one.
Put your hands up.